The Key West City Commission voted last Tuesday to move forward with spending $12.5 million to help a private company buy $60 million Perry Court. In exchange, the new buyer will deed restrict as affordable the 157 units of old Navy housing on White Street. Under the deed restrictions, some of those units could rent for up to $2,709 a month, or an average rent roll of $2,332 a month plus 10%. This will certainly be the most luxurious affordable housing project in Key West. As you will see, the decision was, in part, based on an unexpected version of trickle-down economics applied to affordable housing. Jeff Kornfeld, the new buyer, explained Tuesday night that he needs the city to pitch in the $12.5 million in order to make the project work as affordable housing.
We are, as I mentioned, a family business. We don't have outside investors. We own commercial real estate. We manage it ourselves. We're very hands-on. In return for the city's support of the $12.5 million, we are willing to deed restrict the entirety of Perry Court. Everything that we're able to purchase from the existing owners will be deed restricted for the benefit of workforce housing in Key West and Monroe County.
But not everyone thought those rental rates qualify as affordable in Key West.
We don't need moderate income housing. We need low and median income housing. There is no commitment by the buyer to deed restrict all present and future units for low and median income housing. If you spend this $12.5 million for the foreseeable future, you eliminate our ability to build new low and median income housing on land which we already own.
The data presented at the city workshop on February 1st shows a deficit of affordable housing units for the low income level and a surplus of rental units for the moderate income level. That moderate income level that applies to the new Perry Court owners.
Using the proposed development at Ocean Walk as an example and assuming an average cost of $84,000 a unit, if we spend the $12.5 million, we could buy us about 150 low and median income housing units.
To know that during my term, we will not have low income housing. And I'm disappointed by that, and it's heartfelt. I'm telling you, that's what's really bothering me the most about this proposal.
Perry Court. And I came here to talk to you tonight. I live there, and it's quite a nice place to live. We make a pretty decent living, and we're comfortable with paying the rent we pay there. We're moderate, median income, whatever it is. But I think a point a lot of people are missing here tonight is that if we don't, the 157 families that currently live there and pay that, if we don't have that to live in, we're going to move into the units that now rent for $1,800. The rents will go up to $2,000. And we'll be pushing out lower income people because we can afford it. It serves, albeit indirectly, low income people because then we're not moving into their places and pushing them out.
And I get it, and certainly the people that I represent most are the people that are in the low rental income need. There's no question about that. But I can't ignore the fact that we also need to preserve those that are on the upper end of that same spectrum. Because what ends up happening is that then it becomes a detriment to those people on the lower end of the spectrum.
There was some obvious tension during the meeting regarding the city's efforts to avoid another referendum over the $12.5 million purchase.
7 weeks ago today, the voters disapproved investing in Peary Court, and here we are again. And in my view, this amounts to an end run around the will of the voters. This item.
I also think that I have an ethical dilemma on this as well. And that is, we have a charter amendment that says that we cannot do this as a city. We could not purchase the deed restrictions. we could not acquire them under 1.08 of our city charter. But yet, we're recommending that another government entity engage in that very same thing.
City Attorney, could you clarify for the gentleman about, is this the referendum, if it's required for this?
Sure. This is Monroe County Land Authority money. This is not City of Key West money. This is Land Authority money that was generated within the City of Key West that they then allocate in the city. The City Commission merely makes a recommendation to the Land Authority.
Yet County Land Authority Chairman David Rice was pretty clear this morning on US 1 Radio.
By state law, those funds are available to be spent only in the City of Key West. Absolutely, as far as I am personally concerned, it's their money. They're in charge of how it's distributed.
But the Section 108 of the city code would apply if the city were to obtain the deed restrictions.
If the city were to acquire an interest in the property.
Right. Okay.
By adding Section 1.08 to the city charter in 2007, voters took control of the city's larger expenditures, forcing the city to go to referendum for the acquisition of any type of interest in real estate.
Maybe we can give them the money and they can acquire the deed restriction with our money. But it doesn't sound quite right.
But uncertainty about the need for a referendum is not the only controversy. In 2009, another effort to protect taxpayers' money had caused the Land Authority to no longer allow its funds to be used to subsidize private companies running affordable housing projects.
They would be the owners of the deed restriction, in other words.
But whether that safeguard would apply to Perry Court was not a welcome question.
How many times? Okay, all right.
You know, and I realize I was asking a lot of questions that seem repetitive, but I don't think we have a clear answer pertaining to how title must be held in terms of the purchase of this property.
The Blue Paper has obtained video from a December 2009 Land Authority meeting when the policy was first adopted.
The first recommendation would be to extend to the Key West area of critical state concern the policy of the Land Authority conveying affordable housing sites to government partners only. And that would be a generic policy, not just for this particular property, but for any properties that come up in Key West. The recommendation I would have is for this particular property that we postpone consideration of this Eisenhower Drive site until such time as the transaction is restructured as a conveyance to a government partner. Do you want to have a vote on that?
Any opposed? Seeing no opposition, motion carries.
I say yes, it is a legitimate thing for city government to do this. It is probably the best thing we're going to be doing in a long time. And it's going to preserve all these units over there, 24 acres, forever and ever into perpetuity. And that's a long time. It'd be nice to know that my grandchildren can maybe live there and work there, support their families and raise their families.
Still, there's a lot of unanswered questions.
Can I help answer some of those questions or concerns tonight?
We're just looking for lower income housing, and you answered that.
The project would rely on Key West Housing Authority's enforcement of the deed restriction.
My understanding is that the Housing Authority will continue to do what we are currently doing for the city, and that is monitoring their affordable deed restrictions.
48 units at Perry Court have been deed restricted affordable since 2013. Yet, when we asked the Housing Authority in February of this year to provide their documentation on those units, they emailed back, and I quote, "The Housing Authority has no such information on Perry Court."